Welcome to Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin, the podcast where science meets nature to celebrate the story of your skin. Your skin is a living canvas, ever evolving, deeply personal, and uniquely yours. Each week, we'll dive into the science of healthy skin, share empowering stories, and uncover transformative self-care rituals. We're here to help you embrace every phase of your journey with confidence and care.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin, and I'm your host, Dr. Jen Haley, board-certified dermatologist, and happy to be here to share all things epigenetics and how you can control the rate at which you age during this episode. So it's pretty mind-blowing because only about 15% of how quickly you age is determined by your genetics. The other 85% is determined by your lifestyle choices. And this is so much different than what I learned in medical school. We always used to just chalk everything up to genetics and your genes this, your genes that. And now in this beautiful field of epigenetics, we're discovering that most of the determining factors of how quickly we age, how our body feels every day, how our skin shows up in the world is determined by our lifestyle choices. And it's never too late to start, which is really, really cool. So small daily changes can have a huge impact on how quickly your skin ages, whether you start at 20, 30, 40, 50, or even 60. And I want to break down today what extrinsic factors are versus intrinsic factors are when it comes to aging. Let's talk about intrinsic factors. So intrinsic factors of aging are your genes. They're what you're born with. And this is about 15% of how we age. So we may age in a certain way that is similar to our parents, but the rate at which we age will vary depending on the extrinsic factors or the external factors, the things that we get to choose to do every single day. And these things are what you eat, how much sun exposure you have, other exposure to environmental toxins, sleep, stress, and all sorts of things that play a massive role in basically how youthful you are and how healthy you are and how you feel, more importantly, over time. So the goal of me sharing all of this with you is so that you understand that you have the power. The power is in your hands. You have the agency to determine how quickly you age. And even if you made bad choices in the past, starting today, you can decide to make better choices, and this will have a huge impact on what genes get turned on in your body and what genes don't get turned on in your body or get turned off. So it's really pretty cool. And you can make smart, consistent choices every day, and it can lead you in a positive direction or a negative direction. And it's not really black or white. It's a cumulative compound effect over time. So let's dive into a little bit more details on this. I'm a dermatologist, so you know what I'm going to talk about as the biggest external culprit in determining how quickly your skin ages. And this is UV radiation. So UV radiation is different from sunlight, our natural vital energy force. We need sunlight. Sunlight is important. We need to get sunlight in our eyes every day in the morning so that our photoreceptors in our eyes and the photoreceptors in our skin turn on our circadian clock to be in its daytime activities. So sunlight is important. And there is UV radiation that is coming out, these ultraviolet rays. It is radiation. So this radiation that comes out, it is contributing to 90% of skin aging. Basically, a study in the Journal of Clinical, Cosmetic, and Investigational Dermatology showed that 90% of visible skin aging is caused by UV exposure. There's a couple different types of UV rays. So we have our UVA rays, and I always think of the UVA rays as the aging rays, A for aging. They are very, very deeply penetrating. They will go through windows. So if you're sitting at an office or if you're driving in a car, you will get UVA rays damaging your skin. There's very, very famous photos you can find online of a secretary that worked next to an office all day and a truck driver that drove next to the window. And the rate at which the left side of the face aged much more rapidly than the right side of the face. And as a board certified dermatologist for over 20 years now, I see way more wrinkles on the left side of the face and more skin cancers on the left side of the face from that cumulative damage of UVA rays penetrating windows. So basically, if you don't need a flashlight, you're getting sunlight and UV radiation coming through windows. So don't underestimate the damage that it happens over time through cumulative exposure. And likewise, small little things we do over time can make a big effect in our favor. So we want to be smart about it and realize the power of the compound effect. Now, UVB rays are the rays that are responsible for burning. So UVA is aging, UVB is burning. UVB rays also help us to make vitamin D in our body. So we do want to get some UVB rays. And UVB rays are great because they help to create vitamin D in the body. And what happens with tanning salons, this is why I'm not a fan of tanning salons, is that the UVB rays are often removed. So you're not getting that warning of a burn. You're just getting the deeply penetrating UVA or aging rays that are going to cause coarse wrinkles, a lot of sagging in the skin, a lot of damage and tearing of the elastic fibers and the collagen fibers in the skin. So the UVB rays are the ones that help produce vitamin D. They also cause burning. Now, a cool fact is you can produce as much vitamin D as you need without ever getting a burn. So depending on where you live, your skin type, and the amount of surface area exposed will determine how much vitamin D you make. So for me, I'm part Spanish and I live in Arizona. And if I expose my torso, my chest, back, and my legs for 10 to 15 minutes, 3 times a week, I'm getting sufficient amounts of vitamin D. The only way to know is to get a blood test to have it checked. But that's what UVB rays do. So basically, you have the UVA, UVB, UVC rays don't really penetrate so much. They're blocked by the ozone layer, but they do exist. And both of these UVA, UVB, and UVC rays, they lead to premature aging and they increase skin cancer. They increase your risk of skin cancer by forming DNA mutations. So I think of how do you look at your body to determine what kind of aging is contributed to sun exposure compared to the natural aging of our skin, right? Because we're aging from the inside out, but what amount is determined by sun exposure? If you look at your face, your neck, your chest, the back of your hands, your forearms, these areas are chronically exposed to UV radiation. Whereas possibly the upper inner part of your arm, if you could see me on YouTube, the upper inner part of your arm, it looks like maybe a 3 or a 4-year-old. It hardly has any aging at all. And that is how your skin naturally ages without UV radiation, without sunlight, without chronic damage. You might lose a little elasticity over time, but you're not seeing wrinkles or fine lines or pigmentation. So what happens is UV radiation, it leads to what we call photoaging from the sun, photo, and this breaks down the collagen in the skin. And the collagen is the supportive matrix in the skin, along with the elastic tissue. And these get broken down, and that's what leads to wrinkles and sagging. It's more from the UV and less from actual time or chronological aging. The second thing that happens with chronic photo damage is hyperpigmentation. So when you're young and you're exposed to the sun, you get a nice, even brown tan. Most people do. Some people burn and never tan. Typically, you'll get a nice, even brown tan. And what happens over time is we have these melanocytes, these pigment cells in our skin, and the melanocytes produce pigmentation, and that pigment distributes to about 32 keratinocytes, which is the top layer of your skin. So the pigment gets evenly dispersed throughout your skin. And then what happens is over time, these melanocytes get burnt out and they're not as effective at dispersing pigmentation to the keratinocytes. So you end up getting a mottled pigmentation, areas that get hyperpigmented or brown spots, liver spots, age spots, typically on the back of the hands, people will see them. And then there'll be areas of pigment dropout where there's no pigmentation at all because the melanocytes burnt out and they can't produce pigment anymore. So what happens in chronically sun-damaged skin is you get a mottled discoloration where you see brown, white, brown, white, brown, white, and it looks very scattered and haphazard and not evenly brown anymore. And that's just what happens. And you won't see it on the butt and you won't see it on the upper inner part of the arm because this is not photo-damaged areas. Now, the last thing that UV damage does is it causes DNA breaks in your DNA and mutations in your DNA. And this can lead to skin cancer. So every minute, our bodies are making little cancers. And if we give our body the tools that it needs, we support it by minimizing environmental toxins and minimize how much radiation it's getting, our body has the ability to correct these little mutations before they turn into skin cancer. So minimizing the amount of radiation you're getting is going to lower your risk of skin cancer, but also staying healthy from the inside out is going to minimize your risk of skin cancer by having a healthy immune system that can correct things as quickly as they form. One study actually found that people who apply sunscreen daily have 24% less skin aging than those people who don't. And this comes from the Annals of Internal Medicine. So the UV damage is cumulative over our lifetime. I personally did not even start wearing sunscreen until the age of 30. And I'm doing pretty well considering I've lived in Arizona, San Diego, the high elevated areas of Colorado and Utah and Hawaii. And by wearing sunscreen every single day to the high value areas of your face, your neck, your chest, and then the back of your hands, this will reduce your risk of developing skin cancer and photo damage. And it's really interesting to me because after living in so many different places, I have noticed how the sun affects skin differently. So I notice in coastal areas like Hawaii or California, I tend to see more pigmentation abnormalities in the skin, like brown spots, uneven pigmentation. Whereas in the elevated areas where you're maybe 6, 7, 8,000 feet above sea level, I tend to see a lot of really coarse wrinkles in the skin. And I just think the UVA radiation is penetrating more deeply at elevation. So in those cases, you know, especially if you're dealing with winter and you're having hardly any area of your body exposed to the outside elements, your skin's really taking a big toll. So in those cases, really in all cases, if you do just one thing for your skin, just one thing, it has to be sunscreen to the high value areas. I'm not saying to put it everywhere. I want you to put it to your high value areas that we are exposing day in and day out for 80, 90, 100, hopefully 120 years of our life. So what do you look for? SPF 30 or higher containing zinc oxide. I've never been a fan of chemical sunscreens. When light hits them, when UV rays hit them, they dissipate and they become less effective. And how they work in the lab is not necessarily how they're going to work in our bodies. So I like zinc oxide, so it only works as well as you apply it, as thickly as you apply it. And I also like people to wear wide brim hats if you're going to be outside for a significant period of time. Use your sunscreen as a backup plan for reflective rays off the snow, off the sand, off the pavement. And the other thing is, that's really, really cool, is you can protect your skin from the inside out with foods that are high in carotenoids, basically orange, yellow, colorful fruits and vegetables, and polyphenols and fish oil. It can increase the natural SPF of your skin and the natural protection from the inside out. And you could look at supplements as well. So some of the supplements that I like that are science-backed include Polypodium leucotomus. It's a fern extract that's from Caligula. It's a natural fern extract shown in multiple scientific studies to improve the protection of your skin from UV damage from the inside out. You can look at astaxanthin. I love astaxanthin, 4 to 12 milligrams a day. It is what makes salmon turn pink or shrimp turn pink or flamingos turn pink. And it's from krill, basically. And what happens is the fish will consume krill and it turns into the beautiful pink color in their body. And then we eat it, and it's taken up by our cells in our body and provides natural protection for us as well. EPA, DHA, as I mentioned with fish oil, niacinamide, vitamin B3, very anti-inflammatory, and it helps protect from some of those DNA mutations and calm things down. And then I also love spirulina and chlorella. They're powerful and from nature types of algae. And really colorful natural foods, they get imparted into our own skin cells and protect us naturally from UV radiation. So I notice when I eat very healthy and I do some of these supplements, I can be outside and I will always have SPF 30 or higher to my face, neck, and chest. But the other areas that I'm exposing for my vitamin D production, I will not be burning nearly as quickly as some of my friends who are eating a standard American processed food diet filled with seed oils. So what you eat will definitely 100% more than anything else play a part in how healthy your skin shows up in the world. Okay, so that's number one on what you can do as far as extrinsic factors for aging. Let's talk about number two. We're turning our attention inward. One of the main internal factors affecting skin aging is glycation. So I want you to get used to this word called glycation. It's a process that occurs when excess sugar circulating in our body attaches to protein. So collagen and elastin in our body are two of the major proteins in our body. Excess sugar molecules bind to the elastin and the collagen, and they form really harmful compounds called AGEs, which stand for advanced glycation end products. And there's a study in their dermatoendocrinology that found that excessive sugar intake leads to this process called glycation, and that accelerates skin aging by breaking down collagen and elastin. And as a dermatologist, I see patients with all sorts of medical conditions because I am a trained medical dermatologist. There's over 3,000 diagnoses in the skin. And I fell in love with dermatology because it's pretty amazing how you could look at the skin and have a clue as to what's going on inside the body. And now we know that we can control what we put in our body and have an effect on the skin, right? And unfortunately, there's many people with diabetes, whether it's the type that they're born with or the type that happens adult onset diabetes. And what happens is their skin just doesn't look good. And that's the only way I could ever phrase it before I understood about AGEs. Like anyone that has high circulating glucose levels, uncontrolled for a long period of time, their skin does not look good. It also plays a part in causing problems with blood vessels, visual changes, all sorts of other changes to all the organs, because we know our skin is representing the health of all the other organs, right? So that's an extreme example of having diabetes. But honestly, if we're eating a processed food diet, we're having high glucose bursts all the time. And this is leading to significant damage to our skin and all of our organs over time. So what happens is that sugar binds to these proteins, the collagen and the elastin primarily in the skin, and they form the advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. And then the AGEs make the collagen that normally would bounce back, it makes it really, really stiff. And this stiffness results in wrinkles, loss of skin elasticity, sagging of the skin. And the result is accelerated skin aging. So the other thing is these AGEs, they bind to receptors for AGEs. And this causes a whole inflammation cascade, lots and lots of inflammation, which can present as pain in the joints, inflammation in the skin like rosacea or sensitive skin, or low-level inflammation. And low-level inflammation can worsen acne, it can cause rosacea, and it can also cause increased MMP production, which is matrix metalloproteinases, which break down collagen in the skin. So there's both direct and indirect causes of aging with sugar consumption. And the proof is really in the science. People with high sugar diets tend to have skin that appears biologically older than their actual age. And this is according to a 2013 study in the British Journal of Dermatology. And our bodies are smart. and they break down processed carbohydrates like bread, rice, pasta, chips, crackers, any processed food. Our body converts pretty quickly from a carbohydrate into a glucose molecule. So you may think that you're not consuming sugar, but if you're eating a lot of processed foods, it's converting and it's identified as sugar in your body. And this sugar causes all the same effects that I just talked about. So it's really, really important to take a look at what you eat. There's a lot of different tricks that you can do. If you have a higher glycemic load in your diet, adding some fiber or some fats or some protein can mitigate how quickly the glucose goes into your bloodstream so you don't get those big spikes that are going to cause a lot of AGEs in the skin. We'll dive deeper into that in the future. In the meantime, choose real foods, whole foods. Things like fruit can be damaging in large consumptions, but small consumptions, they usually have fiber in them that naturally abates how quickly your blood glucose spikes. So it's about quantity as well as quality of food that you eat. So let's look further into what we eat and what we can do to improve our skin health by what we put in our mouth. And I studied nutrition undergrad at Cornell University. And I'm going to say, like, that sounds like a prestigious university, and it is. We all respect the Ivy Leagues. Although this was in the 90s, and everything that I learned is no longer true. This was the low-fat, high-carb craze time. So things change, information changes, and as information changes, I'm going to share it with you. And one thing we know for sure, though, and that I've always liked to play around with, is the fact that, like, what we put in our mouth affects our skin. So when I was in medical school, I was taught that diet played no role in how our health is, basically, especially with our skin. And it just didn't make any sense to me, because how could we give someone a medication and the medication magically works for whatever condition we were treating, yet food didn't play any role? It did not make any sense to me, because every single thing we decide to put in our mouth is going to lead us in a healthy direction or an unhealthy direction with our bodies and our skin. So food, or water even, or drinks that you choose to drink. Are you drinking soda? Are you drinking sugary food? Are you drinking unfiltered water that is loaded with toxins and all sorts of things? This is going to have a different impact than if you have filtered water and whole foods. And I want you to start looking at food as messages. So the food that we bring into our body gives messages to our cells to be healthier or be unhealthy. That's the basics of it. So start looking at food as messages. They will determine whether the good genes get turned on, the bad genes get turned off. Food will determine whether your body is supporting regeneration and renewal or causing inflammation and inflammaging. Okay, that's a lot of inflammation for your skin that leads to aging. So what are some of the science-backed skin-loving nutrients that we want to embrace? We have omega-3 fatty acids. It's found in salmon, flax seeds, walnuts. Okay, omega-3 fatty acids are our friend. Our diet is too rich in omega-6 fatty acids, and we want to add more omega-3 fatty acids from these food items. This reduces inflammation, and it keeps the skin barrier strong. So healthy fats balance actually oil, and they improve your skin barrier. Our skin barrier is composed of a bilipid membrane, so we need plenty of hydration from purified water, and we also want to have healthy fats to support our skin barrier. And one of the big things that I see when people are on low-fat diets is their skin gets really parched and dry and dehydrated. And then often they'll get dermatitis and irritation of the skin. So we want healthy fats, as opposed to seed oils, which can be very inflammatory and lead to acne and cause other problems with the skin. So we're looking at adding more omega-3 fatty acids. The second is vitamin C, preferably from food. Supplements are fine too in small doses spread throughout the day. But vitamin C from citrus fruits, bell peppers, strawberries, this helps boost collagen production. So vitamin C is a necessary cofactor in producing collagen in the body. I also love vitamin C topically because it helps fade pigmentation and it fights free radicals, both inside and out and outside in. So vitamin C is our friend. It's unstable in a topical form, so you really need to look at the right formulation. The third type of food that we want to incorporate into our diet consistently every day, in the morning before we get out in the sun, are polyphenols and antioxidants. So where are these found? Green tea. Green tea is wonderful. Dark chocolate. Chocolate is not going to cause acne. Now, the sugar in chocolate will cause acne. So you want to look for a dark chocolate that's preferably tested for cadmium levels. So it's low in cadmium. Organic's always going to be your best bet. Dark chocolate, green tea, blueberries, these are high in polyphenols. So is olive oil. And this protects against UV damage and oxidative stress. So we're attacking things at all levels. So we're coming into contact with different types of environmental toxins every single day, and we're basically giving our body the tools to be supported from the inside out at all levels and all angles. Okay, here's a good fact. There is a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that found that people who consumed high amounts of vitamin C and healthy fats such as olive oil, fish oil, and avocado oil had fewer wrinkles and better skin hydration than those who didn't. And I've seen a couple studies actually with almonds and mangoes showing reduced wrinkles. The one with mangoes was particularly interesting to me because they showed that a small amount of mangoes, I don't remember exactly how many grams, but it was a small amount of mangoes, reduced wrinkles, but too many mangoes increased wrinkles. And that's where the sweet spot is, where you're getting enough polyphenols, enough antioxidants from the food, but too much, especially if a fruit is going to now have sugar and go to AGEs. So we're really walking the Goldilocks line all the time, using multiple tools to get us where we want to be. So next time you're at the grocery store, just think of your skin. What do I choose here that is going to give me maximum nutrition and maximum benefits? We want to think of nutrient-dense foods. How much nutrition am I going to get for the amount of calories I'm consuming? Think about it that way. Nutrient-dense whole foods. You're rarely going to go wrong if you have an actual food that has one ingredient that nature provided. It's when you go to the center area of the grocery store and you start getting packaged foods that our body does not identify as actually food. Our body has to clean out all of those toxins, all of those preservatives, all of those chemicals just to get any nutrients. And guess what happens? Our liver gets exhausted, our kidney gets exhausted, and we're now no longer able to correct DNA mutations and metabolize our own hormones. Think about your skin if you don't want to think about anything else. Okay, so the next thing I want to cover beyond UV radiation and diet are other hidden environmental factors, things that we come into contact with every single day that we may not even realize are playing a huge role in causing accelerated skin aging. So let's take a closer look at some of these. The first is air pollution. We can't always choose where we live, right? We can control the air quality inside of your house. So I do like air filters. There's a few really good ones out there. The one that I personally use is called Molecule with a K, and I like that one. There's plenty of good ones out there, but you may not be able to control, if you live in New York City, the amount of air pollution, but you can control inside of your house, because inside of our house, we're getting a lot of off-gassing, and fresh air is always best, but if you don't have access to clean, fresh air, get a good air purifier. Because air pollution speeds up wrinkle formation. It actually causes more hyperpigmentation by producing free radicals that break down the skin cells. So often overlooked and easy to control. So there was a study in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology, and it found that people that were exposed to high pollution had 22% more hyperpigmentation and wrinkles than those who were in cleaner environments. So something to keep in mind, because there's science behind it. And it's interesting because I was mentioning earlier about how UV radiation affects the skin differently depending on whether you're at sea level or elevation. I often notice that people that are exposed to a lot of pollution in New York City, where I've lived, and other cities where I've lived, they tend to have a lot of congestion of their pores as well. And our skin is this amazing detox organ. That's why saunas are so wonderful because when we sweat, we're removing heavy metals and other toxins through our sweat, which is why it's so important to shower off right away. And I feel as though in these environments where the air quality isn't that good, where there's high air pollution, it's really congesting the pores a lot. So something that control as much as you can, right? That's all we're doing here. We're not adding stress to our life. We're realizing what is out there that is affecting us and what can we control versus what we can't control. Okay. The second is blue light. It's all around us. It's around me right now. So while blue light does not cause sunburn, studies suggest that it contributes to oxidative stress and leads to premature aging and hyperpigmentation. And I struggle with melasma. I'm half Spanish and I tend to get a lot of pigmentation on my face. So if you are someone who is exposed to blue light, even if you're not outside and you have issues with hyperpigmentation, what you want to look for with a sunscreen is not just an SPF 30 or higher. You want to look for a tinted sunscreen. So tinted sunscreens have iron oxide in them, and the iron oxide can protect your skin from this blue light. So even if you're not leaving the house, I'd still recommend putting tinted sunscreen to your face, neck, and chest, and then sweeping the back of your hands every single day. And it will pay off over time. Okay. And then the next one is not sexy. It's something I struggle with, and it's so important. And this is sleep. Sleep and rest is when your body repairs and it rejuvenates. And there really is such a thing as beauty sleep. There definitely is. There's such a thing as beauty sleep. And what happens is when the lights go out and our body is in darkness, all of the clock genes, the metabolic processes, or all the circuits that run are in the renewal and regeneration phase, whether it's our liver detoxifying or our skin starting to turn over and renew itself and clean out all the stuff we came into contact with during the day. So we need those hours of sleep and darkness in order to renew and regenerate. And if we're not giving our body consistent time to rest, we're not going to be renewing and regenerating. And chronic sleep deprivation also increases cortisol levels. And cortisol, the stress hormone, during short periods of time, it helps us get stuff done. It helps us run from the animal chasing us in the caveman age. But chronic low-grade stress breaks down collagen in the skin. It's a really, really big issue. So anything that we can do to reduce stress and get more sleep is going to be key for renewal and regeneration. There's research that's been published in the Clinical and Experimental Dermatology publication that showed that poor sleepers had increased signs of aging, slower skin recovery from stressors, and lower overall skin health scores. So if you are getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep during the weekdays and then you're thinking you can make it up on the weekend, you can't. It's much more important to get consistent sleep between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. every single day. Okay, and lastly, I want to talk about chronic stress. I touched on it, and chronic stress produces cortisol, and chronically high levels of cortisol will break down your collagen. It tears up that collagen like nothing else. It also reduces your skin barrier. So when our skin barrier is not maintained, our skin will look dry, and it will become more irritated, and it will become scaly and inflamed. So we don't want that, and we don't want accelerated aging as well. So if your skin barrier isn't healthy, you're going to be even more prone to all of the environmental toxins as well. Just think about our president, right? Our president in the United States, during 4 years, how quickly they age. That's a high-stress job. Nobody could argue with that. Super high-stress job. So you can see in 4 years' time how quickly they age. And this is a great example of what chronic stress and sleep deprivation does in 4 years' time. So taking time for yourself, and we may not be able to change what happens in our life, yet we have the ability to decide how it affects us. Okay, so take a pause. I love the 4-7-8 breath. Look it up on YouTube. Dr. Andrew Weil, the father of integrative medicine, has a 4-7-8 breath. You do 4 cycles of it in the morning, 4 cycles in the evening. I do it while I'm at the stoplight, in the grocery line. Doesn't interrupt my day, doesn't take away from me spending time with my kids or working or doing any other things that I need to get done. So 4-7-8 breath and breath work. It's not expensive. It's not sexy. It's, not something you're going to find on TikTok, but it makes a huge difference just doing breath work. So we really, really want to find whatever works for you to manage your stress. We do need short bursts of stress. Stress is like a bell curve. A little bit of stress gets us out of bed in the morning. It gets us motivated. It gets us to the gym. It gets those work to-do lists done. It gets us doing all the things we want to do to live a full life. But chronic low-grade stress where you're not able to live in the moment prevents you from having a happy life and also harms your skin, okay? So what are some of the things that you could be doing after this discussion about extrinsic aging versus intrinsic aging? What are the takeaways? What should you be doing at home as much as you can without stressing about it to put yourself in the more positive direction of aging gracefully and in line with how you feel? So first, consume real food that contains vitamin C. Apply antioxidants to your skin like vitamin C. And this will help protect against pollution and blue light. Wearing a tinted sunscreen or at least an SPF of 30 or higher with zinc oxide. Avoid those chemical sunscreens and do it every single day before leaving the house, even if you think you're not going to be in the sun. Because if you don't think you're going to be in the sun and you're in a dark room, you're still getting exposure to blue light. And there's not a person out there who can't tell me that they are not spending at least 10 minutes per day walking to and from the building to their car, to their home, to their mailbox, walking their dog, doing all sorts of incidental things that add up to 10 minutes per day. If you look at the compound effect, 10 minutes per day adds up to over 50 hours per year of incidental sun exposure to your face, neck, chest, back of your hands. Would anyone go to the beach for 50 hours and not wear sunscreen? No. So that's what's happening when you're getting 10 minutes a day. So just make it a habit of putting your SPF 30 or higher on these chronically exposed high value areas before leaving the house every single day. And it will make a huge difference at the end of the year. The second thing I want you to do is double cleanse at night, especially if you have a lot of makeup on or you live in an area that's highly polluted, because we want to remove those particles of pollution and toxins so they don't sit on your skin overnight. So we really want to get those off so that the actives in your skincare can be absorbed and support regeneration and renewal. Things like retinol, things like a good moisturizer so that you can rehydrate and improve your skin barrier and help support regeneration and renewal overnight. The third thing I want you to do is to prioritize your sleep. So sleep, it's not negotiable. Your sleep needs to be a priority. This is how you respect yourself. Sleep. So have a routine, take time for yourself to wind down and honor that beauty sleep because it's going to be a big mover over time. And our body really wants to have that consistent circadian rhythm. Then we're going to want to avoid the sugar and the processed carbohydrates. Look at food as messages. Is this going to turn the right genes on, make me feel better, make me look better? Avoid sugar, avoid processed food, eat real foods that contain one ingredient. Start cooking yourself. Polyphenol-rich, nutrient-dense, colorful, natural foods so that you can import that beautiful color into your own skin. And stay hydrated because we need water to work our lymphatics, make a healthy interstitium so everything can be cleansed and flow beautifully. So just remember that consistency is everything when it comes to skin health. Small daily habits lead to significant improvements over time. And the best part, the best part is it's just never too late. I've seen people in their 50s and in their 60s change their lifestyle. They drank less alcohol, they ate healthier food, and within 6 months, they started looking so much younger, so much better. Their vitality and their energy improved. So this is what I want for you, right? Don't beat yourself up. Like, enjoy that ice cream sundae if you decide to eat one every once in a while. It's just a matter of what we do every single day, day in and day out. It's not an absolute world. It's not an all or nothing. In a year, an ice cream sundae means nothing, right? It means absolutely nothing. So enjoy it. do it with friends. Enjoy it, because that adds oxytocin, which is going to be more beneficial for your health than anything that's shamed or guilt-ridden or basically not done with joy. So this is how I want you to start looking at your life now that you're becoming well educated and achieving the best skin that you deserve. So I'm going to leave it at that. And basically, if you enjoy this episode, please share it with someone and leave a review, and follow me on Instagram at Dr. Jen Haley. Follow Official Moon and Skin, and keep sending us your questions. We are receiving so many questions, and I love the engagement. And our next episode is going to be a question and answer episode. So send them this way, because if you're thinking about it, someone else is thinking about it. So thanks for tuning in, and remember, listen to your skin.
Thank you for joining us on Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin. It's an honor to be part of your skincare journey. And if you love this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave us a glowing review, and share it with someone who's passionate about their skincare journey. And please connect with us on social to ask your questions, which will drive future educational episodes.